7 days, 7 different destinations in Thailand. In this episode, we're going to show you some highlights of the most beautiful places we visited in Thailand. We visited the islands of Koh Samui, Koh Tao, Koh Phangan. We had a stop in Krabi, and then went to the famous island of Koh Phi Phi, and finally we made it to Koh Lanta. Each island is unique, and there's an island for every kind of vacation lover.
Before heading to the islands for Christmas and New Year's, Viv's two sisters joined us in Bangkok. We'd spend the next 2 weeks hanging out. Altogether, we ventured to one of the night markets to eat some street food and experience the chaos.
A mug of cricket. Okay. Do you eat it? Tastes good.
We also visited the Taling Chan floating market, which is small, but one of the closer ones to the city of Bangkok. We got there early and enjoyed a private boat tour through the canals. And after a few days, we all flew down to the island of Koh Samui. On the first night, we walked down to a very tame night market by the beach. We found some food and enjoyed a fire show put on by local kids.
Ever seen a dead guy before? The mummified monk is one of the most unique highlights of Koh Samui and one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. This monk died in 1973 at the age of 79. It's said that he instructed his followers to let his body remain, preserved to serve as an inspiration for future generations following the teachings of Buddha.
After visiting the monk, we sought out one of the quieter and easy-to-hike waterfalls.
Hi, we're in the jungle.
After a 10-minute climb through the jungle, we found it. It wasn't the most impressive waterfall, but a fun place to hang out, get in the water, and take some silly pictures. The rest of the time in Koh Samui, we drove around looking for beaches and sunsets.
We took the ferry to Koh Tao, and let me tell you, the waters were rough. Now, my sisters and I don't mind a choppy boat ride, but half of the boat was miserable. The cameraman called it a puke fest. We made our way to Koh Tao, supposedly the world's best and cheapest diving. Unfortunately, the weather was not cooperating. We went out for 2 dives, and honestly, I could not see anything in front of my face. So we decided to just take it easy, and we hoped that the weather would be better once we got to Koh Phangan. And here we are. We're here just in time for the biggest party on New Year's Eve. Never thought I'd be here, but here I am. Actually, the cameraman was here 11 years ago. He was a very young cameraman then. He never thought he would be back, but here he is. I made him come with me, and it's gonna be lots of fun. We're gonna be covered in body paint and drinking out of buckets. So I'll let you know how I feel the day after.
We had 2 days to enjoy Koh Phangan before the New Year's Eve party. So Viv and I rented a scooter and cruised around to some of the quieter areas of the island to relax before the final night of 2017. Although Koh Phangan is notoriously famous for its all-night parties, there are actually beautiful beaches, amazing sunsets, and calm moments to enjoy around this island. You just have to go looking for them. It's true that I was here 11 years ago, and the island has changed a lot since then, and so have I. After taking in one final sunset, I wanted to show Viv the beach before the party got started. In just a few hours, this place would be completely packed, from front to back and end to end. Anyway, we got to the famous Hadrin Beach just in time for the midnight countdown. After midnight, we basically just walked back and forth for a few hours taking in the scene. At one point, Vivian got sucked into an alleyway dance party. She just couldn't be helped. Later in the night, sometime around 3 or 4 a.m., we found some food. We made the best of it, had a fun night, and stayed up to watch the sunrise as partiers danced on.
So we didn't actually have any buckets that night, but for anyone who knows us, you wouldn't be surprised that we brought our own beverages. Wine in a water bottle. We felt fine the next day, except that we were super tired since we were up all night. When we finally made it outside after a few hours of sleep, it seemed that the whole island had a hangover. We didn't do much of anything on New Year's Day. After 2 weeks of hanging out with my sisters, it was time to part ways and say goodbye. They were headed back home to cold New York, and Justin and I were continuing our way to our next Thai destination, Krabi. Located on the western side of mainland Thailand, Krabi is a much more laid-back town than the previous 3 islands we had just been on, and it gave us super easy access to these beautiful day trips.
Most of the busy beaches in Thailand actually had signposts saying no drones and that violators would be charged a fine of about $30 US. This actually isn't much of a deterrent in a place where the law can be especially strict in some scenarios. However, we read that a new law was going into effect the first week of 2018, exactly when we were there, which would result in a much more severe punishment. Under the new law, anyone flying without registering their drone would be subject to a $3,000 fine or up to 5 years in prison. Drone flying friends, always be aware of local regulations and always fly with extreme caution. Never draw attention to yourself. That aerial picture or video is just not worth the fine or years of your life in a foreign prison. Most places in Thailand have weekend night markets, where locals and foreigners gather to enjoy food, drinks, shopping, and entertainment. We found the night market in Krabi to be especially entertaining.
And bridges to the world. Welcome to Thailand. Welcome to the land of fun. Welcome to Thailand.
What's a trip to Thailand without a visit to the famous Koh Phi Phi? We decided to spend a few days here, where we kayaked, hiked, explored the beaches, and took an early morning tour to the famous Maya Bay.
So, a funny story. I was really excited to see monkeys in Thailand. Who doesn't love monkeys, right? Wrong. Monkeys are vicious, and they're kind of scary. Here's what happened. The cameraman bought me a fresh coconut to enjoy at this beautiful viewpoint, and I did my best to enjoy it quickly and out of the monkey's view. However, we thought it would make for a great prop in taking some photos. But the monkey saw it, and he wanted it. I quickly put the coconut down and stepped away from the monkey. Monkey 1, AdventureViV 0. Welcome to Maya Bay. This beach was made famous in 1999 from the movie The Beach. We're finally here. It's really beautiful. The sand is so soft. It may seem crowded now, but it's going to be completely packed in a couple of hours. And everyone here has to pay the national park fee of $12. So imagine how crowded it would be if it was free. Any boat trip that takes you to the famous Maya Bay will set you back about $30. Now, I've been to some beaches that are just as beautiful and free and way less crowded. So you tell me, is it worth it? As you probably know by now, we love chasing golden hour. And so we're going to hike up to the Phi Phi viewpoint for the second time today. It's about 30 minutes to the top of the hill. And on the way, we're gonna play a little game. This game is called How Many Cats Can We Find on the Way? Ready? Let's go.
Somebody put you in a little jacket.
Stop, kitty. So we did our best to run up here, but the rain beat us. It's okay, because we saw plenty of cats on the way. Fortunately, we visited this viewpoint earlier today, and the weather was perfect. We had blue skies and turquoise waters. But for now, this is what we get.
It actually turned out to be a nice sunset after all. There's no denying the beauty of Koh Phi Phi, but it was time to move on to our final stop in Thailand.
Welcome to Koh Lanta. It's the final island on our tour of Thailand. We've been in Thailand for almost a month and we've hit up so many islands. Apparently, we've saved the best for last. Koh Lanta is known as Sunset Island because of the long strip of western-facing beach that allows everyone to have a fantastic sunset.
We wish we had more time to relax on the beach in Koh Lanta, but after a month in Thailand, it was time to move on. Thailand is so unique and it has something for everyone. It has a real edge and a definite wild side. However, there are tranquil and serene settings. 4 months into our travels, we find ourselves happiest when discovering the areas less traveled and less developed. With Thailand being a top tourist destination in the region, these places are becoming more elusive. But we almost always found them when we looked hard enough. I will not be wearing body paint.
Jungle Bed. I'm gonna make him. Also, if you've noticed, I gave the cameraman a bit of a break because he deserves one. I can be a reasonable boss, no matter what he says.
Okay.